magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant's rings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff that mighty dragon sadly slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
Sing that way, buddy. Yeah, here we are coming to you once again by way of tape recordings. This is about the first time, I think, about 2 years. However, that's the way it goes in this business, I guess. No, honestly, Mick, I must apologize for not sending a tape a little quicker. And one of my reasons was that Don's service, he probably mentioned it to you. He happened to have my recorder about 1 year ago. He bummed it, and I haven't seen it since. I just got it back here a couple of weeks back. However, we want to say once again hello to everybody out there, Mick and Joe and the family, of course, and your mother and dad. I hope you've been getting along well, and from all indications from what I've been hearing in Calgary here, I knew I should have moved out there a year ago, and I had...
No. That's not her. Yeah. Okay, wait. Pie-pie. Man, pie-pie's in the moon. This is not really that. Toot, toot. Piper man in your eye.
Jingle bells, eh?
Jingle bells. This is not a really song.
What song does she know?
Jingle bells.
Let me see, you know,
Jingle bells. Hear that?
Angie Pansy, pudding and pie, kissed the boys and made them cry. When the girls came out to play, Angie Pansy ran away. Here, you sing it.
One.
See, Yankee Doodle
Yankee Doodle.
went to London,
Went to London.
riding on a turtle.
Running on a turtle.
Went to,
No.
stuck a feather in his hat,
I stuck a furling on his hat.
and called out macaroni.
Macaroni.
Who listened to that, Dad? Is that typing it?
That's a song for the play. Give me this minute.
Dad?
You know this song?
What? That's Jingle Bell. We'll have a pie-pie.
Are the children in the bed for now? 3 o'clock.
Let's see what that sounds like.
You know, sing it.
Do it. Not right now, though. Little thing's going.
You wanna know it, Dad? Hmm?
reinforcing rod with points on the end, 1 or 2 through the back. I didn't realize you could run this thing.
What was I going to say?
Background noises are not the tape recorder, just her head. She's trying to think again.
And the background yapping is not me either. It's this here ignorant husband of mine. What can I say? Well, I suppose you're all ready for Christmas. We're not. We still got presents left to buy, but we always have this last minute rush around here anyway. And the kids, they save their money up, and they like to go to town and buy a few gifts too, so we have to take them in so they can buy a few things still. And we got our tree put up tonight too. And what else was I going to say? You know, I have a million things to say when I'm home in the daytime. I think this to myself, what I'm going to tell you. And then I get this tape recorder, and I can't remember nothing. My mind goes blank. Don's shaking his head, but his mind will be blank if you don't smarten up. That's because he uses me for a guinea pig, sticking me in boxes, you know, and sticking swords through me, and making me do these disappearing acts and magic, you know. In fact, the box I was in he didn't even sweep the sawdust out of it when he made it. And when he stood that box up in the air, all the sawdust went all in my hair, in my eyes, and all over my clothes. And when they opened the door and I walked out, I just looked like Pinocchio, all wooden, all covered in sawdust. Anyway, next time he does something like this, I'll make sure the box is swept out. Felt like a fool standing there in front of people wiping my eyes out. I can't think of anything right now, so I'll give you back to this happy husband of mine. Here you are, Mr. Maybin.
You know, I think it's about time she went to bed again. She called me Mr. There's something wrong. One thing I want to mention to you folks over there that, and I hope I did, thank you for accepting the family and looking after them for about 2 weeks here, 2 or 3 years back. But this apparently to the kids was a real thing, because every time they hear Victoria or they see any pictures of it or something happens or Victoria is mentioned, why they immediately say, oh, they've seen that here, they've seen that there, or that's over in Victoria, and they know they've seen it and all this type of thing. So I still in my own mind feel that there's nothing better than traveling for even young children, you might say, because they really and truly remember it, they seem to, and even at school now, I guess if they have to get up and give a story or something, they'll tell a story of Victoria just like nothing nowadays, just from the experience of staying over there for a week. So it's really something that's set in their mind, they'll never forget it. Now, Mick, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to board Joan and give you a couple minutes brief here of what happened at Calgary Builder Supply. Just a year ago, as a matter of fact, I got away on holidays on about December the 8th or 9th, whatever it might have been, like last year, and nothing was said to me whatsoever, or although Pepper did indicate he kind of wanted to see me, but yet he never asked me to come into the office or anything, and so nothing was said to me whatsoever, although it was sort of in the air that something had to happen in there eventually, and sure enough, on about the 14th of the month, why Lauren come out and asked me if I'd come in and give them a hand taking stock, but they'd officially said they were going to close the doors. So I said, oh, I suppose I could. I might as well. There was nothing else to do, and seeing that I would be out of a job, I might as well carry on as long as I could. So we went back in and helped take stock and price it and so on and so forth. But the biggest joke of all was, I think you knew that Pepper had set up this company, or whatever you want to call it, called Pepper Investments. Well, on top of this, he had, of course, the Calgary Builder Supplies, and it was owned by Pepper Investments and paying rent to Pepper Investments. And I think this was taking part possibly while you were here, but the biggest laugh and joke of all was following this, and I don't know whether it happened before he actually closed the doors or not, but anyway, he set up another firm called Pepper Liquidators. So as you can see what has happened, he went into voluntary liquidation, and of course Pepper Liquidators was handling it. And I said at the time that the creditors are absolutely crazy if they let him get away with it, but anyway they did. and they let him get away with it for some time. Under Pepper Liquidators, he just carried on selling, and we, of course, worked, though I think we actually stayed until about January the 15th or something, or actually 20th or somewhere in that area anyway, but we were working for Pepper Liquidators, selling Calgary Builder Supply, and of course nothing was reordered, and all the invoices were stamped in liquidation and this sort of stuff, but it was being sold left and right, and he never did close the doors, which seemed very unusual. And McAfee, of course, Jack McAfee of Red Deer, he was down there, and he actually stayed and was out in the yard with us, not counting stock and that. And even though I can't prove it, I would say to this day there was sure and certainly something fishy there. A lot of the, we bought a big uni saw for prefabbing buildings and things like this. And there were one or two real valuable pieces of equipment there, and so some of the jigs and stuff like this all got shipped to Red Deer. And I still, in my own mind, think to this day there was never a bill or an invoice put through for it. I think that was just, I don't know what to call it, just a goodwill gesture, and you help me and I'll send this, I will give you this sort of thing out of it. Because McAfee was in the middle of it all while they were taking the stock and everything, and if something was there he didn't think should be in, oh, don't put this in stock, it doesn't matter, and this sort of stuff went on. So it was definitely fishy from the word go. And they let him sell this material and operate it as a liquidator for, some time. Almost a month, I guess it was, and then finally the creditors stepped in. But of course, by this time, heck, he'd sold everything in there. Mind you, he got pretty fair prices for a lot of it. But he did sell an awful lot of the stuff that was in there, both machinery and tools, what was left, and of course, lumber and stocks. From here, an outfit by the name of Nash & Nash Chartered Accountants took over, and they really closed up completely. They locked the door, and the creditors eventually made him declare bankruptcy. And towards the end of February, they had a sale in there, a bankruptcy sale, and they sold everything, lock, stock, and barrel, cash registers and invoice machines, typewriters, and everything. And just to give you an idea of how the sale went, I think on some of the lumber it was fairly high because it was all crap pretty well, about number 4 and 5 grade that he had in the yard, and they paid about a number 2 and 3 price for a lot of it, but some of the things were really ridiculous. And one thing, for example, which you will know, that cash register, which he paid about $3,000 for, I think it was a Chinaman bought that for about $700, so you can see some of the buys were good. He had to put his own Chrysler into it, by the way, and I think they got it bought about 11 or 1200, I believe it was. I know it was ridiculous in one respect, but it had to go into it. And no doubt you'll recall the old Plymouth. Well, this car I drove, and I finally put a motor in it. This was a year before they packed it up pretty well. And the car sat for almost a year in the yard here. Even after I put the motor in, the motor seemed to just didn't stand up at all, and I couldn't get a warranty on it or anything. And I think it cost me about $500. So I'm hanged if I was going to do any more to it. But it sat in the yard, and I bought another car. I never did use it. So finally one day he came and he said he had to have the car. Where was it? And I said, well, I'll have it here in about an hour's time. And I got Slim and to come out with me, and I took the car and come out and towed it in and dumped it in the yard. And what a wreck! It was all, by this time, body rusted and pretty near falling apart completely, so it had to go into the sale. I think I got $48 for it or something of that description. But this sale completely folded it up, and on top of it, what happened was, being Pepper Investments owned the property and everything, they couldn't touch the property nor the buildings, and as a result, he still owns, under Pepper Investments, the buildings and all the property and everything. So, in one respect, he's a way better off today than he ever was, because he's got no credit worries or nothing like that to worry about. And he just turned around, he's rented the building out, and he's got about, I think it's 5 or 6 renters in there right now, in different parts of it, and different buildings there that he had. And I think he's making more today than he ever did, but I seen him myself, it was about 2 weeks ago now, and also Huey Campbell seen him a week or two ago, and we both thought he's looking a lot thinner actually than what he was. He's lost a lot of weight, and he definitely isn't looking good. And I think the biggest problem is he's worrying even today because he still hasn't got his debts cleared up, and the bank, of course, haven't collected enough money out of the receivables, and he's still got problems, which I think he's going to have to suffer out eventually. But anyway, this was a story of what happened to Calgary Builders, and as I always have said, it was ridiculous because it was a gold mine as far as the business was concerned, and it could have been ran even today, but he has folded it up. So we got out of there about February the 15th, I think, of last year, and about the 28th it was, I think, we had this Gorman's Limited. I don't know if you knew them or not, but they're out in the McLeod Trail there, and they've got building materials. They don't touch lumber or wood products or windows or anything of that description at all. It's pretty well plaster and wallboards. And then they have a machinery division which handles anything from Skill electric drills right up to Aveling Barford road graders and road equipment and everything else. And then they've also got a petroleum division which looks after the oil well and oil field equipment. So they made me an offer, and I went down with them in the machinery end of it, actually. And so if anybody calls in asking about cement, well, I'm dumb. I don't know nothing about it, and I just turn it over to the other department. But I can't say I'm too actual sold on working there. I just sooner be doing something else. But the pay wasn't that good, really. And in the meantime, it sort of is a job, and I don't get the freedom I used to at Calgary Builders, but even at that I got a lot of freedom to what most of them do down there. In fact, I started out along the Ben Brophy style, just saying nuts to them, come in at 8:15 and that sort of thing. And I even got told about it, as a matter of fact, by management, but it still didn't change me. I'm doing the same thing even today, so one of these days I'll be walking down the road yet, but anyway, we're still at it. And we're actually inside ordering parts and doing some of the purchasing and stuff like that down there, and also on the order desk. So it's much the same as what I was doing actually, and I think as time goes on and I get more familiar with the pieces and parts, well, it'll be putting in exactly what I was doing, but with machinery. So as I said, I've always said I wouldn't mind a change completely and entirely somehow or another. But anyway, that's what's happened since last year. One thing while I'm thinking of, Mick, I'm going to ask you, because I think you'll know as well as anybody, what the heck is there in these motels and places like that? You see them being offered at about $110,000 or $120,000 and this kind of stuff. And I've had 3 or 4 people tell me and comment that the money can be paid back out of a motel, or the average motel that they're asking that much for can be paid back in 5 or 6 years or something of that description. I still find it hard to believe myself, even though I've had some people that should know this type of thing. So I thought, well, I'd fire the question at you, because you were in that motel, or not really motel, but restaurant sort of vacation time type of business. And I was just wondering if this is a factor, if it isn't, because there has and still is, I guess, some real ridiculous and fabulous offers in one respect going on around Calgary and through this new highway and whatnot they've put through. And so that's the reason I'm asking you this question. I haven't been out, by the way, on that new highway at all. In fact, I haven't been well, I was up to Golden just when they were just starting it there. They were about halfway through, but we couldn't go on to it at all. I was in the Golden area there, and in fact, I went up to look at Pepper's sawmill. I don't know whether you knew that or not, but him and old George Armstrong got involved in a sawmill deal up there, and that went belly up too. I think he got about 2 little 3-ton truckloads of lumber out of it after about a 1.5-year operation. And personally, I think what had happened was there was a couple of characters up in that area that just got a bunch of old junky machinery that was around the country and put it in the middle of a field and said to Pepper, here's a sawmill, buy it, and he was sucker enough to get it, because from what I could see of it, it was just a pile of junk, and I don't know nothing about them, but boy, that was all I could say it was. So out of devilry and curiosity, I went up there to see it myself, and that was the reason I was up there. But as I say, I haven't been over the new highway at all. If I ever get onto it, I'm liable to end up at Jiggins's, but the day will come someday, maybe. You never know. Well, I think I've talked enough about this malarkey. I can see Joan there yawning and stretching and grumbling and groaning and falling asleep. So, I don't know if Freda's got anything or not. Just a moment. Ah, shoot. He's sitting there like a bump on a log. What do I tell him now? He doesn't know what to say, so... I'm going to mention one thing, that the weather here has been kind of lousy this year. From about 3 weeks back, we've had conditions down to about anywhere from 20 below and up. It's a real Chinook year sort of thing. It'll go 20 below for 2 days. Next thing you know, it's about 25 or 30 above. And these conditions have been going on right along. In fact, tonight I think the forecast is for 15 below and high to more like 20 above or something. So it's created a few problems, although I guess you can live and get used to it. But I haven't noticed it that cold really myself, and fortunately, touch wood, I haven't had too much bus trouble, so that's been one thing that we haven't been worried too much about. But we've got a fair amount of snow here. It's actually about 3 or 4 inches deep in the tree area here, and of course it's pretty well here for the year now, because the snow on these trees just doesn't seem to melt. And tell you what I have got here, which we haven't told you about also. Long last, you know, I think they're looking up, civilization's getting closer. We've got a fold-in. And it's of no value to me whatsoever, because even though the number still isn't listed in the Calgary directory, it's impossible, or next to impossible, to get on it, because between the wife just doing that, nattering to everybody, and the kids, why, you haven't got a fighting chance. But every so often, when I do happen to hit the house, some cotton picker phones through and they got troubles or something's wrong, and I get hooked again, so you can't win anyway. But just in case you are coming into the Calgary area at all, or within reach, I might pass the number on to you if you want to make a note of it. If not, okay. 242-2782. And I was just going to say, in case this tape happens to reach you before Christmas, which I doubt, I might possibly give you a call Christmas, but we'll see what happens anyway. And as I say, I don't think, by the looks of things right now, this tape will make it, but it could do. So that's one of the things that we've got new around this household. And this Happy Valley development has really produced quite a thing here. It was working or going, I think, when you were here, but since then they've developed so big and so much traffic out there that they've even got an underpass under the highway now, put in specially for Happy Valley. So you can imagine the amount of traffic and that heads to, or is going in there. I've been in there 2 or 3 times with bus loads, and I've also managed to get in there with a car once or twice and had a swim in that. It's really quite a nice layout, really, but to take part in everything in there, or to go in there very often, would break the average man, I still think, because even though the gate charge is only $1 per car, everything you do or everything you touch in there pretty near means more money out of your pocket, so it adds up to go in there. But yet for a weekend, once or twice, say a year, or once a month, why, it's something really different. And Bowness is pretty well gone completely as far as the people going out there. We were out there one Sunday here last summer and went in a canoe and that, and there was actually hardly anybody there at all compared to what there used to be. So I think Bowness has definitely lost a lot of its people and so on that they used to have. But I guess that's one of the things that happened, although the city is still working or owning or operating it, and they've turned or cut the swimming pool out there since the party drowned it a couple of years ago, and so there's no more swimming out there and this sort of stuff. And being city operated, it hasn't helped matters any, but that's the way it goes around here, I guess. While I think of it also, folks, what is the actual difference, say, in the climate out there and here? Have you found it giving any problems with the children, or even with yourselves, as far as, well, maybe health or breathing and so on? I have spoke to, since that offer that we came up with a year or 2 back, I spoke to several people about it out there, and I don't know, about 50-50. Half of them seem to say you'd like it out there real good, and the other half say, oh, you'd never live there. It's too damp, and and it's hard breathing and this kind of stuff. But I've often wondered myself, and you would probably be able to tell me too on that, because you did live here, then you've moved out there now. And also, I don't know whether you realized it or not, but when the family was out there, apparently Norman, the youngest boy, when he left Calgary, he didn't have a cold, and the minute he arrived there pretty near, he ended up with a cold, and I guess he had it pretty well till he hit Calgary, and it cleared right up. So this is one of the things that maybe made me wonder about going out there and that, and as I say, I was just wondering with you, even in your own family, how it's affected all the kids and yourselves, if any. Say, look out, you're going to hear another voice. It's going to talk again. Stand back.
Here I am, smoky. I'm telling you, it's smoking in here now, and I look like I'm crying. We went to the Moscow Circus on Saturday.
By a school bus.
Yes, by the school bus. Don had a load of cubs to take, the pack that Donald belongs to. And so Norman and I went along too to see it, and it was really worth seeing. It was really beautiful. With the coloring and even the animals, their horses, they're, well looked after and everything.
Listen to that farmer.
Rowdy dow. And it really was, worth the money to go see it. I really enjoyed it. And, cut it out. And, the kids really enjoyed it, and well, they're actually at the age now where they'll sit and behave, and watch it through. Before Norman, he'd be up half the time. I gotta go get a drink. I gotta go to the bathroom, or why can't I buy a box of popcorn? But he's pretty good now, and he'll sit all through it. And of course, Donny, he's the type, don't bother me, I'm watching it. And Norman wants him to take him anywhere. Well, he's ready to clobber him because he don't want to move once he's watching something. And what was I gonna say? This is terrible, I'm sitting here thinking what I'm gonna say.
That's why there's so much noise.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I guess because I know someone's going to be listening to me after, it makes me nervous. Oh, and if your mum and dad are there, I'd like to say hello to them and Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you too, and a slap Happy New Year, Don says. And we're supposed to be going to a banquet on Saturday night if this silly husband of mine doesn't have a bus trip.
Meet me under the table, I'm going to get drunk.
He's still stupid as ever. And I don't know when he'll ever change. And sometime he's home. He's gone so much. I told him maybe I'll get to know him when he's 40. Which won't be too long to go, will it, old man? And we bought the kids new bikes this summer. Big, the big size bikes. They can both ride quite well. So, because Norman, well, he's been riding since he was 4 anyway, and so we got them each a bike. But that Norman, he's so rough. He's just like Don used to be when he was younger, according to his uncle. He rides in the ditches and out and in, and he's doing stunts and everything. And honestly, the frame of his bike is all crooked from it, because he's just the rough type. And he skates on. He goes out there and he plays hockey, and Hafner kills all the kids on the ice. He's hitting the puck so hard and skating into them. And he plays football at school with the kids, and I guess the kids are half scared of him when they see him running with the football. And he tells me he makes a lot of touchdowns. But he says that he just picks up the ball and runs and knocks the kids out the way. And I guess it's true, because a couple of kids around here that are in his grade tell me that he's a real rough football player, that they're scared of him. But he's really sports-minded. He's just crazy over sports and horseback riding and stuff like that. But Donnie's still the same. He likes to sit in the house and read a book and then read another book. And well, he's more the, what do you call him, studious type. He's more serious actually in his work. And Norman, well, he's actually the opposite. Well, he does his work well, but real rough boy type. And what was I going to tell you? Oh, I'll say hello to all your kids while they're standing there with their eyes popping out. And I suppose Angela's real big now and walking around. It seems impossible that she's over a year old. And
What's the name of the sixth one?
oh, listen to him. What's the name of the sixth one? That's what Ada was going to call her girl if she had one, Angela. And she was so sure she was having a girl, and my mom told her she wasn't. And so she phoned from the hospital and she said, "Guess what I got? A boy." Naturally. And then when Gwen had hers, well, we thought, well, maybe it's possible. Maybe that'll be a girl. And cripes, when the doctor phoned, he says, "It's a boy." And my mom went, "Oh no." So the doctor, I guess he thought we were a little bit queer. I couldn't figure out why the grunts and groans over another boy. And, but that's the way it goes in this business. Gwen phones quite a bit from Dallas, but she has a phone bill of about $65 to $70 a month, and her husband could have their brainer. Although he wouldn't, he's real generous to her. Not like this. No, he's not. He's very intelligent, actually. This Don, he is. He's a very intelligent type. He's a university student, and he has books and that. I've seen it. I mean, it's no lying. He was the second highest student in the university, and actually, he's a real nice chap, and you know he is, don't you?
I didn't say nothing about it.
Okay. And when I stayed down there, you couldn't, wish for a nicer person. Actually, he's
Took her out, got her drunk.
Oh,
Boy, is he nice.
don't lie. He's not like that. He's very cooperative. She can say, "Come on, John, let's do this and let's do that," and he'll do it. And I mean, he wouldn't come home late for supper like this cotton picking, maybe. No, maybe he will when he's been married a while, but right at present, I think he's she's got a real good husband there, and she's got a real sweet little boy too. He's a real cute little guy, and. But I think she's awfully homesick down there, though, just the same. And I figure that's why she keeps phoning home, because...
Scared of getting shot in the head.
Yeah, wasn't that terrible about the president being shot down there? She was quite upset about it, actually. She was in the doctor's office with her baby. It was not feeling well. She took it there for a checkup. And she said the nurses were crying, and the doctor looked sick, and they came out, and they said the president's just been shot, and Gwen... wondered what the heck they were talking about, and then they had the radios blaring in the doctor's office about it, and Gwen said pretty soon she was crying, and then the baby was crying, and everybody went home and nobody got a checkup. But it really was a terrible thing, though. Actually, I feel very sorry for her, especially when there's little kids like that and they got no dad for Christmas. It just made me ill, actually, seeing it and watching it. I felt kind of sad myself, but that's the way this world goes. You can't trust your own neighbor. Boy, we got a Lulu across the road from us. I'm not kidding. He's a real nut. Ask Dawn. Here you are, Dawn.
Well, being it's about 11 o'clock here tonight, the kids are all in bed, and I know they want to say something on this tape. I'm going to turn it off for tonight anyway, so we'll reappear here, and you'll hear the kids probably saying a few words to you, and by then, you never know if Freda might have came to her senses, and she's got a couple of things she's worthwhile talking about, but anyway, we'll see what happens. There we go. I told you we'd probably never get back to this tape again. Here it is, December the 26th, and as a matter of fact, it's just after we phoned you, so I was glad to hear from you on the phone again, and I imagine it was a bit of a surprise to you, which we hope it was. Didn't I tell you to get a Christmas card? You've seen it by now. Well, the kids and everyone here has got through Christmas, is still standing on their 2 feet. I'm not even drunk. And I think they've all had a pretty fair Christmas here, and Santa Claus is pretty good to Norman. He's going to
Santa Claus!
He's going to tell you all about it in a minute here, so in fact, I think I'm going to get off of this thing and see what I can do with the kids here. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, Christopher, Susan, and Kim, and Angela, and Mike and Joan. And we got this little train drive like you said Donnie did. And then we got a road racing set. And then I got 3 guns, Donnie's one got 1, then we got a football helmet. 2 football helmets and 1 football. Then our mom got 2 little kittens from Jiggins Family. And then Donnie got
Donnie will tell him what he got.
What to say,
You don't want to say anymore?
Hi, this is Donnie.
Tell him what you did at school.
I've been in 3 concerts, and one was at Cooper Hall, the other one was at school, and the other one was at church. And Gaffrey's, I almost died when I had to go up on the stage. Some of the things that happened, I'm gonna say. And Norm made a mistake. We didn't get a road racing set, we got a Meccano set. He's always getting mixed up. And so far I built, we started building an airplane ride, and I built part of a city with a highway going through it, and some buildings, and quite a few other things.
Ask him how some of the things that you've seen over there. Well, you in Cubs yet, Christopher? Donnie there tried to get him to tell you that he was in Cubs, but he won't seem to talk anymore, so he's... As usual, Joan, you know, the good old bookworm, he's got his nose in a book here, and you try to get it out of him, he's as miserable as can be. But anyway, he's been in Cubs the last year, and he seems to like it, I think. He was in a play with them and so on, and they've been on the odd sleep out and so on. And, incidentally, Mick, are you Cub leading or scout leading yet? I doubt it, you're probably too busy. Well, I'm still playing around in the middle of it, but, I certainly don't put the time that it needs into it, but, we do manage to get out once a week and keep the kids going. I think what I'm going to do now is switch it on to Freda and see if she can talk a little longer on it.
Oh, hi, it's me again. Donnie, he's so darn miserable. I wanted him to say more, but he won't. So I guess that's his part of the conversation. And we all had a good Christmas and got lots of nice things. I got a hairdryer from Don and a sewing basket, and he got me a lamp for the television, and I got nice slippers and stockings and blouses and nylons and, you know, underclothes and lots of chocolates and, oh gee, I guess that's about it. And Don's uncle was out to spend the day with us, as he has been for the last few years. And, we had a nice Christmas, and now we're waiting for a bang-up New Year. We're going to go out to the community hall out here for a turkey supper, and then after they're having dances and games and sing-song and things like that, so I think it'll be quite a nice evening. And, I guess Don can tell you about what he's going to do tomorrow night. He has a bus trip that he's taking around the city, and what's it called, a progressive night? And you go to about 6 places, and at each house you stop in and have something to eat. You start with snacks, you know, and salads and soup, you know, and work up to the main course, and then you get your dessert. And tomorrow night I may go with him to fill up. So I'll let him talk to you now. I can't think of anything else. Okay?
That's just another little story from my friend Wendy. One thing I'm going to suggest or say and also mention to you, thanks very, very much for the cards that you happen to send on time. Incidentally, the one you get from me now, you can take it from 1964 if you want. It'll be the first one you got. That'll get even with you. I'm going to mention, I think the kids counted them out here. We got about 65 cards this year. How come they all send them or where they all come from, I don't think I even know myself. But we sure as heck get a tremendous number of cards out here at the house, it seems. However, it's nice to see and hear from a lot of the, you might say, old friends, which we don't hear from every day. Yeah, on this progressive party, it's one of these things. I've had it about 4 years running now. You go from one house and eat the cocktails, or not the cocktails actually, but the cookies and stuff, and the next thing you go and eat the meat and so on, next thing you go and eat the dessert and so on, and you go to about 4 hours. By the time you're through, you don't know whether you're eating or what you are doing. But this is something that comes up every year, and we also just got through today. As a matter of fact, this morning went on a YMCA run out to their camp. This is a yearly occurrence. They go out on the 26th and usually come back on the 30th. The weather here right now is pretty nice. It's been about 35, 40 above, and even a shade higher the odd day, but it has been a really tremendous year again for Christmas here, although the snow has gone quite a bit. There's not too much snow around, and there has been a lot, but it seemed to melt and blow away between one thing and the other. But it is a tremendous day for Christmas and a tremendous season again. I don't know if they shop around Victoria the way they do here, but I went in on the 23rd, I think, to pick up a couple last-minute items, and I happened to go to the bay, and honest to goodness, I think half the shelves in the bay were absolutely bare. They just sold out of everything, it seemed, this year, and I think myself they sold more this year than they have over the past years even, but people seem to go really hog wild here, and I'd imagine it would be similar at Victoria, possibly. We happened to go out and visit, I don't know if you remember, not Nanjo Singh, that's the Hindu fellow that lives here in Calgary that I've known all my life pretty well. We went to school together and so on, and you've probably heard from him or of him when you were here. And we went out to visit him, so I happened to ask him if he knew Mr. Doman at all, and he said, oh yeah, he knew the family and the son and the whole set pretty well, and he was able to tell me the whole thing. Mrs. Singh, that's his mother, she must be getting on to 80 or so, I guess, but she's really a wonderful woman, and she's in real good shape, and every so often she goes for a visit. So I happened to mention that Freda had been to Victoria visiting you, and that you were great friends of ours over there, and she said, well, she'd like your address, she'd come and see you. So we got talking conversation, I didn't happen to give it to her, but if you ever ask her, if you ever happen to see this woman walk in the house, don't pass out. But she is a Hindu, and as I say, they were real old timers in the country here. They knew my own folks not real well. In fact, they lived a half a mile from us pretty well all our lives. We went to school together and so on. But both him and her, he's quite well on too. He was a real drinker. He used to drink all the time pretty well. But they're both well on in age, and they really truly are a nice couple. But anyway, before we left, she ended up saying that she was going to go to India again, and she'd been there, I think, once or twice, and she goes to Victoria, I think, quite often. She's got quite a number of the friends over there that she knows.
Relatives all over there.
And relatives and that over there. And she said she wanted Freda to go with her, and Freda didn't know what to think of that, but I told her she'd have the best trip she ever took if she went with them, because they are very, very nice. And she has a little bit of trouble. She can talk pretty good English, but she does have a little bit of trouble now and then sort of deciphering it back and forth into the Hindu language. And as a result, I think she had in mind getting Freda maybe to go with her and just to translate it from English, or like a little better in English, so she could understand it better. But her son, who we go and visit, he can talk Hindu real good, and it's just as good as he can English, and it's really amazing the way they talk back and forth that way and translate for one another. But we went out to see them, as a matter of fact, a couple of nights ago. But that's about all we've done for excitement, I think, around here. Christmas, we did go out and make it out to a banquet, with a trail riders banquet here at the Stampeder Hotel, and spent the evening there. And that was about all we did this Christmas. It wasn't really what you call too exciting. In fact, I think I had a bit of relaxation. I stayed home and said, the heck with the rest of the country, let them travel.
Hi, it's me again. Don says he's running out of conversation, so I'm supposed to think of something to say. I usually think of a million things after the tape is gone, but at the time you get, kind of balled up. You don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I don't know if they decorate the city up real nice down there for Christmas like they do here. But the CNN TV tower out here, which sits on top of a very high hill, it's on the way out to our place, and they decorate it like a Christmas tree on the wires, the guy wires, whatever they're called. And it really looks lovely, from a distance. It looks like a great big tree up in the air. And the city in general was decorated up very nice this year, and the brewery, they still have that all done like they do every year. And even here we have quite a nice tree and several fancy twinkling stars and bubbling candles and all sorts of little gimmicks on the tree. And Don,
an electrician to hook them up.
Yeah, now we need an electrician to hook them up. They were working perfect, and
Ma fixed them.
I was trying to get them to work tonight, and I sort of got them working all right. I got a few working, and the rest I don't know what I've done, but I've got my wires crossed somehow. They're not working. And Don's got these candles sitting on the radio burning. He's quite a, what would you say, an old-fashioned nut at mind. And he has the candles glowing and real romantic, like, you know.
Better than pretending you're a teenager like you.
Oh, listen to that. Nice of him to think I look like a teenager still, though, isn't it? And, oh dear, what was I going to say? Dawn, did you tell him after about the night you stuck the sword through me? You told him you were going to do it, but you didn't tell him what happened, did you? Well, I'll let him tell you what happened after the sword sticking night that we were telling you about in the beginning of the film. I mean, tape.
I don't know if I told you this not any earlier, Mick, but anyway, we went ahead with this procedure of sticking swords through her while she was in a box. And it ended up she wasn't in that box, she was in another box which had been tied up previously with rope by a Copper Scout and a guide. The only problem was about a half an hour before the show, as usual, I'm still hammering the box together, and I guess I tried dumping all the shavings out and never got out of the sawdust. And we sat the box in, and of course she got in it when it was laying flat, you might say, on the stage, and before I let her out, I lifted it up so she could walk out of it. And when I lifted it up, all the sawdust at the top of it, and of course it come down all over her, and she was sawdust from head to foot, in her eyes and all over the place. And even though the audience didn't realize it, I was fit to be tied after it was over. It was known as planning ahead. Look out, it's going to happen again. Here it is.
Sherry, you're in the middle reading a good book, and all of a sudden they start dragging you up and almost killing you. Some of the things that they do you around here, it's terrible. Oh well, last I got on it. Well, Gabby's mom, forget what I'm supposed to say. So far I've read about, I've read at least 20 books, because almost every night I get home when I'm reading a book. I bring home quite a few library books, and I've got two teachers, Miss Burton and Miss Cowan. And Miss Burton, she plays the piano, and we have choir every Friday. She plays piano for us. But she's getting married this coming summer holidays, and she's going to the United States for to visit her cousins. Well, and I have my other teacher, Miss Cowan. I have her for health and poetry. And if we say a word wrong in our verses, we almost get plastered. Some of the things that happen. Well, I better give my dad it now.
Yeah, it's more problems in the family. However, that's the way it goes. Once again, Mick, as a result of our phone conversation, you won't have to answer these questions I fired on this tape with regards to this roofing tile, and I'll have to see if I can dig up Harold Isles. However, if you do happen to come to Calgary, as you mentioned you may possibly do in February, don't blink and well get in here without looking this up anyway, or you're going to get hung. And I know we're getting near the end of the tape here now. I'm just hoping you're able to record at 7.5 feet per second, because I made a mistake at the start of the tape and started recording on this speed. I'll try and get you a tape a little quicker. In fact, within a month or two possibly we'll be able to send you another tape here. And so in the meantime, I'm going to close this one off and wish you the very, very best once again for the coming year of 64, and I hope there's more in it for everyone. So once again here this year we want to say Happy New Year! You can turn the tape over. There is nothing on this side recorded by us. This music, I believe, which is on the tape is something that was put on by Don Service when he had the tape, so there is nothing recorded by us on this side. Thanks, Joan and Nick. Thank you.